We're live. Hey guys, here we are on YouTube. It is 9 o'clock. It is Central Time. It is Wednesday night, and this is Success Talk, my live YouTube streaming video conversation education gathering event program. And this week, the title was Talking Tipping. So we're going to talk tipping. We're going to talk about tipping in the beauty and barber shop because, that's what I know. That's what we know. We're going to talk about it from the perspective of the hair cutter because I know that side of it, experience. We're going to talk about it from the perspective of the client because there very well may be some clients who view this or who are participating in this tonight, and we welcome in their comments and conversations. So welcome into the program. You know the rules, you know how it works. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe to the channel. Please, if you like this video, when we're done, like the video, share the video, and comment. The comment box is right there along the side. You have the opportunity to comment and chat and participate in this broadcast along the way. And we have Super Chat. Super Chat, of course, is the opportunity where you can sponsor a chat going into the program for a small or a large amount of money. That money will be used to enhance this program, to buy me a new microphone, to buy me a better camera. I want to buy a camera that'll flip-flop so this stuff won't be backwards. We're going to use the funding to do some great things to enhance and continue the program and the conversation here on our channel. So that's where the funding goes. That's what the funding does. The new water bottle, it matches the shirt. Good deal. So does the hair gel. That's a bottle of Mega Hold Gel from John Amico Professional, one of the hair care brands that I work with. They produce the Clipper Guy product that I feature. If you don't know us, go online, and I'll post in the comments in the description on this video a link to the John Amico products. If you want some great hair care product, get you some John Amico. Richard Johnson, hi Ivan, welcome in. Natty the Barber, welcome in this evening as well. Got some folks showing up to participate in our Success Talk this week. So we're talking about tipping, and I want to cover tipping from the hair cutter perspective, the client perspective. We're going to talk about tax. We're going to talk about charity. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. And I look forward to people jumping in and participating. Bobby's here. Welcome, Bobby. And that's all I'm just going to keep an eye on the chat so I can converse. So here we go. Tips in a barbershop or hair salon. Rule number one on tipping from the hair cutter's perspective is never expect a tip. Clients are not required to tip. One should not think that clients are expected to tip. And I think there's several issues we have to talk about when we talk about this idea of not expecting to receive a gratuity. Thing number one is, if you expect a tip on a haircut, number one, change your thinking. But number two, and maybe number one, change your price. If you expect to be tipped, if you don't feel that the money you receive for the service, based on the price that you currently charge for the service, represents the money you should receive for the service, I think you should be charging more. I really think that you can't expect that tip, and you need to be comfortable with what people are giving you for these haircuts. You need to feel that your skill, your talent, your ability, your time, and your energy is worth the money you're getting. So if you're thinking, if I don't get tipped, I'm getting cheated, your price isn't high enough. So number one, don't expect tips. Number two, if you have that expectation, move that expectation from the expectation of a tip to simply requesting, asking, posting, charging more money. Natty, we met years ago in Miami Beauty Schools at BSOA. Yeah, good old BSOA. I think those guys are gone now, but those were some fun schools to go in and visit. Some big schools, graduating lots and lots of new professionals down in Miami. I went past the location the other day when I was down in Florida, and I saw it was closed. I don't remember which location that was, but nice to see you here again. All right, so number one, don't expect to be tipped. Number two, raise your prices. From a client perspective, You're not obligated to tip. And I think it's important to address it's a cultural thing in some cases. You know, here in the United States, tipping a barber or a stylist is something that has kind of become part of the way we understand the business to be. And I was very careful in choosing my words right there. I didn't say expected and I didn't say required. I said it's part of the way we've come to expect the way the business is to be. And I don't necessarily think that holds up as well anymore. You know, depending on where you live, your market, the demographics of your market. You know, this is America, and America is made up of many, many people from many, many places. And there are lots of countries that are not America. That's a great sentence by itself. There are lots of countries that are not America, and there are lots of countries that, unlike America, do not have a culture of tipping. There are some countries, the other side of the world, in which tipping is considered an insult. Tipping is seen as almost a bribe or in some way a way of trying to get something unfair or inappropriate or something like that. So there are many people who culturally have been brought up to believe, or not necessarily to believe, but not to believe that tipping is part of what they regularly do. Therefore, when some of those people come to America, they bring their cultures and traditions. And in some cases, they don't know that in America, in haircutting, there is an understanding of tipping. They just don't do it. And it's not bad and it's not wrong. It's just the way it is. So I think it's important to understand that that goes further to the conversation that no one is obligated to tip. Now, let's talk about another level. Let's talk about how much to tip if and when you tip. And this becomes a little bit of a client side conversation, but if you're tipping, it is believed that an appropriate tip, and when I say it is believed, I want to say these are what we'll call cultural norms, kind of the way it's been. 20% is a tip on a haircut. So if you're going to get a haircut and you're going to tip, a 20% tip is what's considered about right, generally speaking. Now, I think that amount as a percentage can fluctuate with the price of the haircut because as haircuts are less expensive, 20% tips may be not large enough. And I think as the haircut gets more expensive, a 20% tip becomes perhaps high in some sense. And I think there's lots of room for an incredible amount of debate and argument on these subjects. And I welcome, hit the chat column. Let's go. Let's get it going. Let's get this conversation started. But I will say this. When it comes to tipping, don't be a jerk. Now, what I mean by don't be a jerk is if you do not tip, you're not a jerk. You just choose not to tip, and that's okay. If you choose to tip, I think it's important that you tip healthy. And here's what I mean. Let's just say the haircut is 20 bucks. And I'm going to use 20 bucks because I can do easy round math with 20 bucks. If you get a $20 haircut and you throw somebody $2 on a $20 haircut, that's 10%. Knowing that you want to tip and knowing that you know that tipping is culturally appropriate with haircutting, a 10% tip, $2 on a $20 haircut, does come across as a little slim. I'll call it slim. Now, 20% on a $20 haircut would be $4. And $4 at 20% is kind of about right. Now, if you've got a coupon and in the low price, high volume, family oriented chain sector of the marketplace, they do a lot of coupon promotion. Remember, culturally, we believe you tip on the original full amount. I think the same goes for restaurants. If you use a coupon in a restaurant, you tip on the pre-coupon amount. In restaurants, it's understood to be that way. I think it should also be that way in hair salons. If you got a $20 haircut and you got a $5 coupon, 10% or $5 off, now you're paying 15, you should tip the $4, 20% of the 20, not $3, which is 20% of the 15. Everybody follow me on that? Following the price pre-coupon. So little bit of conversation there on what amount makes sense. And I think it's important to understand, if you think to tip and if you choose to tip and you tip light, I think it's reasonable to perceive you as a bit of a jerk. Now, if you don't tip at all, I already said it's not allowed to consider somebody a jerk. But somebody who does tip and thinks to tip and chooses to tip but tips light may be sending you a message. As a hair cutter, are you receiving and hearing that message? That message very well may be, you know what? This service experience wasn't such that I feel I should be tipping at the higher level. Now, that requires a little bit of introspection. That requires maybe looking in your own mirror and asking yourself, if my tips are averaging low, why is that? I think when we do the averaging on tips too, I think it's very important that we take out of the equation all of the customers that tip 0. And when we talk about tipping 0, I also think it's important to mention that you will come across people, typically older people. And when I say older people, I will say people older than me. If you don't know how old I am, I'm not going to tell you tonight, but it's never been a secret how old I am. Let's put it this way. I cut hair in a chair manufactured in 1965, a 65 pater. I am older than the chair. All right, that gives you some idea. But you will come across people, older than me, who believe that in the hair and beauty business, you don't tip the owner. That's a fabulous line. I love that. Well, I don't tip my hair cutter because he's the owner. No, you don't tip the owner. What's that all about? I'll tell you where that comes from. I'll tell you what that's all about, and you'll understand maybe where the thought process came from and why it very well may be somewhat flawed. The old thought that you don't tip an owner came from the fact that in a typical haircutting situation, people were thought of as being paid 50% commission. Now, I know some of you may make less than that, and some of you may make more than that, but 50% commission was kind of this old standard that hung out there in the business. And I'm not commenting on whether 50% commission is right or wrong. I'm telling you, it's just out there. So, with this old logic, the thought was, if you work in a shop, you're making 50%, and you're also making income through tips or gratuities. But if you own the shop, you're getting both 50%. I love that. I love saying it. It cracks me up to think about it. There is no second 50%. And it's comical to think that as an owner, you get both halves, because everybody knows if you own the shop, you may commission yourself like a regular employee. You may not take any money, and all of your service dollars may go to keep the boat afloat and run the business. Or in many cases, that second 50% is the cost of doing business. I mean, it's everything from the cleaning service to the lights, the heat, the towels, the laundry, the service of the fire extinguisher, insurance, the burglar alarm, credit card processing, supplies, you name it. My God, you know what it costs to run a business. Anybody on here watching or listening that owns a shop knows there is no second 50%. So this crazy flawed logic of don't tip an owner because he gets both 50% is a huge fallacy. So if you are older and you were of the belief that that was how it was operating, maybe you want to reconsider your tipping strategy if your hair is being cut by the person that owns the shop. So we'll put that out there. Next up on the list on the tipping conversation, I want to talk about taxes, because I want to talk about the fact that you must report all of your income. And when I talk about that, I talk about the fact that you must report all of your tip income. Every dollar that you receive in tips needs to be counted. It needs to be accounted for, and you need to pay tax on it. You need to report it. Now, I know I'm probably going to get flamed on this. I'm probably going to get some thumbs down. I'm probably going to get some barking comments on this. But the reality is, in the land of the free and the home of the brave, we pay taxes. Like it or not, it is what we do. Government services, support. My favorite one is veterans benefits for the military that protects us. There's lots of reasons to pay your taxes. It's the right thing to do. That being said, I'm going to suggest you got to stash for taxes. So in other words, in a given day, if you got a handful of tip money and you count it up and you record it, and I don't know what I have here. Let's count it. There's just some loose dollars I had to bring for the program as a prop. I get 15. If this was me and this was my 15, I would peel off 4, put them in the tax man pile. Maybe it's going to go in a separate bank account. Maybe it's going to get stashed, but it's going to get set aside because real money, we pay real taxes. That's probably a high side rounding. I probably don't need to go this high, but you know what? Better to be over set aside than under set aside and scraping for the money when the tax bill is due. So number 1, stash for taxes. Number 2, and I talked about this in another video, it was the concept of divvying your tips. And that is the idea that every night at the end of the night, take the taxes off the top, put them away. Take the money that's remaining and divide it up. 1 for your retirement, 1 for your partner's retirement, 1 for the kids' college, 1 for the other kids' college, 1 for the rainy day water heater fund, and 1 for your pocket. 6 piles is the minimum pile I like to talk about when we talk about tip divvying. Sixth, is that about 15%, 16%? Living on a sixth of your tips after taxes, and having the rest of it allocated, segregated, divided up, and deposited into areas for your life. Tip money is real money. It is not gas money, cigarette money, beer money, Diet Coke money, Snickers bar money, fast food money, shoe money. It is money. It is money that can be supporting all of the great things in your life, but it's got to be treated as such. It can't be treated as fast cash, easy come, easy go. So that's my report your tips and manage your money comments on the tipping conversation. Lastly, to wrap up here is I'm going to open a big old can of worms. I'm going to get a big old worm can opener and a big old can of worms, and I'm going to pop the top on a can of worms right now. I am going to put out there my belief that in the haircut business, we got to stop accepting tips. We got to quit tipping. We got to get off the tipping wagon. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm not just going to make that statement without supporting it. Here's my thinking. Number 1, you want to be paid fair money for every haircut that you do. And if a tip is a maybe or a maybe not or a choice on behalf of the customers, we already talked about the fact that no customer is obligated to tip. I think what we do is we eliminate tipping. I'm going to tell you how in a minute. First, I want to tell you why. We eliminate tipping and we charge a price for our haircut that represents full and appropriate compensation for the work that we do and the service that we provide. We stand up straight and tall. We're proud. We look customers in the eye and we say, I'm sorry, I don't accept gratuities. The prices I charge reflect the full value of my service offering. And be proud. Smile when you say it and tell them I'm a professional. I don't take tips. That's not to say that professionals don't take tips. I have been handed food and drinks and desserts by professional waiters and waitresses who are absolutely highly skilled and trained professionals in their field, of whom I have a great deal of respect. I was that waiter at one point in my life, so I get it. I understand that job. And again, our culture is that we tip those folks, and that doesn't make them non-professionals, doesn't make them less professional. In our industry, though, I think we got to quit it. I think we got to get off the tip wagon. And I'm going to tell you how. Number 1, raise your prices to reflect full value. Number 2, post a sign. And here's what the sign should say. The sign should say, we do not accept gratuities. The greatest tip you can give us is the referral of a friend, period. That's the sign. Love that sign. We do not accept gratuities. The greatest tip you can give us is the referral of a friend. Reinforcing how important referrals are in our business, telling the client, asking the client, and underscoring with the client that we do want those referrals. Now, there's another sign that needs to be posted when you go here. If you're going to go to no tipping, please message me, comment on this video, reach out to me privately or personally. Go to ivanzoot.com on the web and use the contact feature at my website and get a hold of me there. I will coach you through the process of eliminating tipping from your barbershop or hair salon. But the next sign, the first sign is we do not accept gratuities. The greatest tip you could give us is the referral of a friend. Great sign, sign number one. Sign number two, if you must tip, please know all tips will be donated to, and then you write the name of your house charity. If you must tip, please know all tips will be donated to ABC charity, and you write the name of your house charity. Because I will tell you, some people, when you hang up the no tipping sign, are going to try to slip you money anyways. It's just part of our culture. It's part of who they want to be. Even when they're told not to, there are people that will try to do this, and it'll bother you. It becomes a little bit offensive because in a no tipping environment, the client who insists on tipping starts to feel and look a little not so okay. I'm choosing my words very, very carefully, but they start to not look quite as okay. Like they're trying to get away with something. They're trying to slip something in where it's not allowed. They're trying to curry additional favor beyond what is considered appropriate. So as soon as you throw out the no tipping carpet, there are some people that will try to continue to tip. What you will find, though, is when the tips are donated to charity, things are going to polarize a bit. And what I mean by that is when the tips are donated to charity, there's going to be a few people who are still going to tip. Hey, I like that charity. Here's $2. Nothing wrong with that. Charitable contribution. And by the way, as a business, all those tips go in the charity bucket. You count them all up, you write a check, and then the charitable donation becomes a tax deduction to your business. That's a good thing for you and a good thing for the charity. Please know that. The other thing to be aware of is when you put up the charity sign and the people who still insist on tipping see that sign, many of them will then opt not to tip. Because if you're not getting the tip and they're not deriving the social benefit of delivering the tip, all of a sudden their incentive to tip tanks and they've no longer got a good reason to do it because they're no longer buying what they hope to buy with a tip that has already been advertised and promoted that it's being declined. So that's my concept on not taking tips, not accepting tips in the industry. I'd love to know what you guys think of it. Ivan, you're a beast. I guess that's a good thing. Thank you very much. I always wanted to be a beast. That would make my wife Beauty, so we can be Beauty and the Beast. How sweet is that? All right, guys, I appreciate you tuning in tonight. This video live in Success Talk. This is me here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment on the video. Thank you so much for being here. This video will live on YouTube for ongoing watching, continuing after it finishes uploading today. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next week on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central Time for another episode of Success Talk right here on YouTube on the Ivan Zoot channel. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks. Bye-bye.